Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
Thank you. I feel good. I feel good that we are able to like talk instead of doing it over Zoom. This is nice.
Last time you and I talked, you were in an office, I think.
I was home at the office, and just landed, literally. And then we talked over Zoom, and it was a fun chat.
Can you tell everybody where we are?
We are here at the home of the Budmans, the founders, the creators of Roots, and they're longtime friends. And this is my hangout one of my hangouts when we come and spend time here in Toronto.
And Roots is important to you. I know you were I think in 1999, you were on a billboard for them. You were in an advertising campaign for them. Yes. It was meaningful to you.
Very, very meaningful. They came out and supported my music and the album at the time, and it was a big, beautiful mainstream campaign all across Canada, recognizing roots and authenticity and integrity. And we did a commercial, we did a television commercial, we did this beautiful photo shoot, this beautiful spread. And it was really the first time that a Black female vocalist was recognized and given this sort of campaign. So I was really honored and excited about it, because it was a first, you know. Clive Davis was the one that spoke to the Budmans and said, like, we have a big record stateside. You guys need to get behind Deborah and release support. And they did.
Tell me about the moment you get. Is it a call or an email telling you you're being inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame?
It was a Zoom. And Jan Arden and members of CARIS were on the Zoom. And my husband had known this for a while and kept it from me for a very long time, and didn't know, and wanted, it to be announced and told in a different way. So he had set up the Zoom for everybody to let me know. I was just so kind of.
Did you have any idea?
I had no idea. I thought this Zoom was going to be about maybe a performance. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe hosting or something. But I had no idea.
So you sit down. Jan Arden's there.
I sit down. And get in front of the Zoom, and Jan Arden's like, "Hey," and I thought she was going to talk about her new puppy, because I see it on Instagram and I'm thinking it's super cute. And then she's like, well, I just want to let you know, Deborah, that we love your music and everything you've done and your legacy, and congratulations, you're going to be inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. And I was shocked. I didn't even realize what she was saying. It still kind of hasn't hit me. I'm still just I'm really, really overwhelmed by that.
Yeah,
because it's really just mind-boggling.
Why is it so mind-boggling?
I just never thought that was within my reach. Like, I just never thought about the impact that I was actually making, with all the hard work and everything that I've been doing. I just never saw this in my view,
Where did you grow up in Toronto?
I grew up in Flemington Park, and then moved to Scarborough when I started to when I went to high school.
What was life like growing up for you?
It was pretty humble. I mean, we were both my parents were, working parents, but we really had to work hard for everything. So all I know is hard work. I know about struggle, and I know about like really hustling to try to make ends meet. And that's how it's always been. Mm-hmm. And I always walk around with a really great big sense of gratitude, because I know how hard it was for me working in this industry. Yeah. And getting to this place, it was just always a struggle.
What did they do for a living?
Oh my gosh, everything. My mother, everything from, working in the Department of Health, working as a paralegal, many different jobs. I mean, growing up, it was about just, like I said, just hard work,
Yeah.
making ends meet, you know?
Was there much music in the house?
Always music in the house. That was always that was my escape. You know, music was my escape from just life being hard, or life. It was my church, I like to say. It was like my solace, my peace. And listening to all different types of music helped me to just, again, escape reality sometimes, you know. But yeah.
I can relate to that feeling, you know,
Yeah.
that feeling that everything is sort of like crazy around you. Mm-hmm. And you can,
You know, I grew up a lot with, you know, family can be complicated.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you get the opportunity to just, again, walk away, step away from it all, music was always there to just be my refuge.
like what? Was it a tape player? Was it a record player?
Oh yeah, it was cassette. It was cassette and vinyl.
And what were you listening to? What was it?
Everything from Stevie Wonder to Gladys Knight to Joe Tex to Bob Marley to Joan Armatrading to, I mean, like old school, all different types of music, to Donna Summer, to Cher, to Whitney Houston, to the Eurythmics, to everything that was on the radio at the time. Like,
Were you singing along?
oh yeah, I picked up melodies like that. It was just like, whenever there's anything playing, I can just pick it up right away.
When did you know?
Something that resounds in me, you know?
When did you know you had a gift for it?
I knew early. I knew really early, probably about 6 or 7 years old. I knew that my voice was different, and I knew that I could sing anything. And I was just very shy to perform in front of people. But I knew that music was going to be my way out of poverty and humble beginnings. And I knew that I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be able to have the opportunity to go to Disneyland for Christmas break, or, you know, go to the cottage during spring break. You know what I mean? Like, we never had those opportunities. I just remember the end of the school year was, you know, Salvation Army camp. That's where we'd go. And it was like this amazing opportunity to go and just get out of the city, you know, and just see something different. So yeah, when I think about my childhood, I think about, man, just the community and all the other working people, all of the other immigrants and people that were just like really struggling and working really, really hard to just see their kids have an opportunity.
And you were singing. I
was singing at talent shows.
Talent shows? What were you singing in the talent shows?
You know, 80s R&B, 80s pop stuff. So like I would listen to everything from, okay, these were my songs. Love Come Down by Evelyn Champagne King, anything by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Oh my gosh. And then it was like the 80s pop stuff, Spandau Ballet and the Eurythmics and everything that was on Much Music. I mean, I just sang anything and everything. I was in cover bands. I was, you know, singing commercial jingles, doing background session work. You know, I was really making a living doing music.
Jingles?
Yeah, commercial jingles.
Like
from
what?
Marvelous Muffins. Oh, those marvelous muffins that seem to be popping up everywhere. And Mazda commercials, car commercials. And I mean, I was still getting residual checks when we moved. Like that was good money.
What a thing to happen to you at 12 years old to start making money from your music.
Yes.
Like what a game changer that must be for you.
Yeah. I was doing good session work. I was singing backgrounds in bands, cover bands. And that was my own little pocket money.
So let's flash forward a little bit. I guess it would have been the early 90s where you meet LaSalle's in high school, who's now your husband. Two, you guys are living in an apartment in Scarborough, writing songs together.
Yeah, LaSalle was, you know, songwriter, producer, doing a lot of different, doing a lot of music with a lot of different artists.
Right.
You know, we all kind of came up. There's a real close music community, and the two of us just clicked. Like he could finish my sentences if we were writing together or writing songs, and that's how we met. And he was also in a band playing bass and I fell in love instantly.
Where did you meet? Where did you meet?
There was this club in Yorkville, and he was playing bass and killing it on the bass, like killing it, and on bass synth. And I was like, that is my husband.
That's the first time that's ever been uttered.
That was the
That
first
someone playing bass synth, someone watched someone on bass synth and went, that's my husband. That's the first time it's ever happened.
Listen, he had a groove. He had just this way of his style.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, this dude is dope. And I was just mesmerized. And he played the song, and I was like, man, this dude is so sexy. So
all you fellas watching this, get on the bass synth.
I was mesmerized, but he had no clue. And then maybe 2 or 3 years later, then we got together and we started writing songs, and then he helped me put my demo tape together.
Yeah.
And then we just started to get closer and closer, and we just had this real beautiful connection, and then fell in love. I think, it was like, I just knew that he was somebody that was going to be in my life for a long, long time. And I
don't think you can get to the great parts of life without the hard parts in life.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that when you first started sending these demos, that you got a lot of no's.
Oh yeah.
In Canada, right?
Yeah. There were a lot of no's, and I think just at the time it was it was it's 80s rock and roll. It's Rush.
Yeah.
Bryan Adams. It's like really big. There's a real big rock presence.
Yeah.
And so that's what stations were playing. And so I think when the demo tapes were going out, I don't think there was, I don't know that, well, I do know that there was no infrastructure at all. There were no radio stations. There was no flow. There was no much music sold. None of that stuff was in place when we were, shopping a deal.
There was no support for Black music
There was
in
no
Canada.
support for Black music, no.
No.
And sadly, that's what it was. So we took our talents, stateside, and just were very aggressive about getting the demos heard. You know what I mean? We didn't take no for an answer. We just knew that we had something to offer. So we flew to London. We flew to Minneapolis. We flew
Prince
to New
Minneapolis?
York. Yes, we were like, we're going to meet Jammin' Lewis.
And?
we were just confident. And LaSalle's and I, we booked our tickets.
Yeah.
And my sister was like doing a show, a musical. And so we crashed her hotel and we stayed there. We slept on the floor. We met a few A&Rs execs, and they were like, we love the songs, but if you could just tweak a few things. And then we came back here, and we were at our little apartment in Scarborough, and we wrote Where Do We Go From Here? And that was the song that changed the game.
Was it a hard decision to move to the States?
It was.
To leave Canada?
We missed a lot of birthdays and weddings, and we missed a lot of family functions, and we missed our friends, and we were trying to do, we were just, we just didn't have the money to be flying back and forth and doing all that. So we really struggled a lot. There were some real hard times out there.
You get this gig singing backup for Celine Dion.
Yes.
Do you remember the first gig?
The first gig, I don't remember the first gig. I remember taking the bus to Montreal to do the audition.
Right.
And there was a snowstorm.
Oh, yeah.
It was right around LaSalle's birthday, and, we went to Montreal, and LaSalle and I had just gotten together too, so it was like 6 months, really early into our relationship.
Okay, so you were still in Canada at this point.
Yeah. We're still in Toronto, and it was just like, look, this is a shot. Like, who gets the opportunity to sing with one of the greatest vocalists of our time? So I just went for it and got the audition, and we started rehearsals there. And I think we went from there to some of the some local things in Toronto and across Canada, and then it was stateside, and we started doing the Jay Leno show and the Arsenio Hall show, and then the inauguration. So it was a lot, but I think it was about a year into it that I was we were starting to get some real feedback on the demos.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, I gotta leave, but it's great money.
Yeah.
I got all my per diem checks post-dated, and
but aren't you also going I don't want to be back here.
No,
I want to be up
I had
there,
no ego about it. I was
Yeah.
just like, this is awesome. It's an awesome opportunity, and it's a great I was honing my craft. Like, I love music. It's about being the right player wherever I need to be. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I came into this industry. So I saw the amount of sacrifice that she took too to have that kind of success. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And I saw just how she transitioned into it. She was just learning how to speak English as well. Like, she was learning how to create stamina, like have stamina to be in the industry for so long, you know? So it was a lot.
You meet Clive Davis, this, music mogul, this, incredibly important figure in the development and history of popular music.
Yeah.
Tell me about your first conversation with him.
First conversation, he listened to the songs. It was a phone conversation. And
he got the song. Someone got the songs.
Oh, yeah, he got
to
the
him.
demo. He got the demo and loved the demo and was just like, we should meet. We should, talk about the kind of album that you wanted to create. And we met at the Peninsula at his bungalow. And he just talked about just the way that he loved the songs and loved the way my voice sounded, and really was very, very encouraging, not just about my voice, but about the songwriting too.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with that because, it was a very new thing for me to feel comfortable even writing songs and creating a sound for myself. And it was something that I felt really vulnerable doing.
Why?
Just because I think songwriting is really, really close to, the essence of who you are.
It's an expression of your spirit.
It really is, yeah. So I was just really nervous about the reaction.
Because a no to a song that you wrote is a no to you.
Is like saying a no to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't get a no.
I didn't get a no. It was very, very, he was really supportive, and he was just like, who are some of your favorites that you like to, work with or collaborate with? And I just named a bunch of different people, Jimmy Jam, Jerry Lewis, Dallas Austin, Babyface, thinking, I mean, what are the odds of that happening? And it happened.
Yeah.
He set up all these sessions and opportunities to work with all these producers, and we were in the studio working with all these great, legendary people. It was awesome.
But I can't imagine the feeling of because everything you've told me up until now is the story of you grinding, against all odds, no's from the Canadian music industry,
right.
No infrastructure here in Canada for your music. You moved to the States away from your family. You miss birthdays and weddings and all that stuff. You're traveling on a bus with, doing background singing, and you're trying to get your demos into the, what a feeling it must have been when you finally felt like, oh my God, this might have been worth it. Yes.
I think it was just about finding that confidence.
Yeah.
In spite of all the no's, it was about finding that, the silver lining. I mean, I've always had a very positive perspective anyway. I've always seen the glass half full.
Yeah.
With everything. And I think also having a great, strong faith has helped me, to always stay really spiritually grounded. And that has always just kept my spirits up. And so that was a part of the reason why I was able to continue to just gain the momentum from the opportunities and just sustain, and stay in this positive place,
Let's flash forward again. So by the late 90s, you released 2 big records, ton of success, hit singles. And then there's one song that got you a dedicated fan base that's still with you today. It's from 1998. Let's listen to it.
How did you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. Nobody's supposed to be here. I tried that love thing for the last time. My heart says nobody's supposed to be here.
So we mashed together 2 versions there, the original R&B ballad and then the dance mix that came out just a while after.
I remember I had just come from Japan.
What? When?
That performance.
Is that the Junos?
Yes.
You had just come from
Oh,
Japan?
I remember that. Ooh, I was jet lagged. Oh my gosh, and I was so nervous about the performance. Yeah, it was. No. See, this is what happens when I hear stuff.
Yeah?
I remember all those moments. That's why I'm pausing, because I'm like, I go right back to that place, and I remember when I was disoriented, going, oh my God, I need coffee.
I'll tell you what sticks out to me is that we put those two versions together there. So the original ballad and then the dance mix that came out just a little bit afterwards. Both versions became #1 hits. Was it intentional to have two versions of the same song?
No. Around that time, it kind of became like a prerequisite to do a dance version of an R&B song, because we did it with Who Do You Love? We did it with Things Just Ain't the Same. With Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, I never imagined that the song would translate into a dance record, because it was so soulful. It was so gospel, or it had that real soulful underbelly of it, So when, we talked about doing a version and Hex Hector, played the music, I was a little skeptical. I was like, oh my God, I don't want the song to be, you don't want it to be corny.
Yeah. You were worried about it being corny?
I was worried about it being corny. I was like, listen, it's got to be right. But he played the music, and I was like, First of all, he changed it from a minor key to a major key. This is getting kind of technical.
Yeah, I get you.
But I was like, wow,
Sad
it
to happy?
actually works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, all right, well, we went into the studio and I re-recorded it, and then it turned into this more like a real revival moment. And then I think that version just lived and had a life of its own.
How so? Like what doors did that version open up for you?
I think it really cemented my connection with the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
At that point, I was really doing a lot of club gigs. I was doing a lot of the circuit parties. I was doing a lot of stuff internationally. And dance music is like the staple of Europe, 4 on the floor. So I was like living in the clubs and just having a great time, just performing a different version of the song. Because I love to dance. Everybody that knows me knows that I love to dance.
Yeah.
And so it was like a great version to like party to.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I love that people embraced it.
I got to play you one more thing, and this is not a performance from the Junos. So, and I'll tell you what this is afterwards. Okay. So take a listen to this. That is my guest, Deborah Cox, performing at Phoenix Pride just last year in 2021.
I mean, I remember the Palladium. I remember pulling up to, first of all, when they told me about the show, they were like, it's a 7 o'clock performance. I was like, what? So I just treated it like a morning show, and I slept the night, and I got up at like 5, warmed up, was like super disciplined. I get to the club, and everyone's basically naked with socks. And I was like,
what time is this in the morning?
This is like 6:30 in the morning.
Right, okay.
And DJ, Junior Vasquez is spinning, and like I would always turn up at these clubs with like the hottest DJs playing the songs, and I was like, okay, this is what it is. And I get up there, and there's drag queens, and there's naked people everywhere, and it's like everybody's partying. So I get up there, and I start to sing Nobody's Supposed to Be Here.
The club remix.
The club remix, yeah. And they are losing it. They are singing at the top of their lungs and just like vibing out. And then I break it down to where do we go from here? And a lot of people just didn't do ballads at circuit parties because, people want to just dance. But they thought that it was pretty courageous to just go into a club at that time of the morning and do a ballad. And I was just like, well, come on, this sound system is dope. Well, I didn't want to, and it just became this thing. So I would just hit the clubs 4 or 5 in the morning and do all my remixes. Sometimes just do like what you call mashups, and just merge all of these different versions of the hits and perform them.
Why do you think your music and that song was so meaningful to that community?
I think it's empowering. I think a lot of the LGBTQ community find their story within the songs. This empowerment, this strength. A lot of the storytelling telling is really very telling of the life that they've lived or gone through, or they just can relate to it.
What is something that maybe some of your fandom in the queer community, what's something someone said to you about your music?
That I've helped to tell their story,
Yeah.
that I helped to, that the music was their soundtrack to their life. They were able to come out. They felt empowered, like songs like Absolutely Not, songs like Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. They felt like that I brought emotion to the dance floor. Like a lot of the times you hear house music, techno music, EDM songs, there is no real emotion attached to it. But with my songs, you felt like I was singing, again, their story. And I think that's what the connection was.
What did that mean to you?
Oh, it meant the world to me. I would be in tears sometimes before a show because I'm just so taken by their stories. And, I'm really touched by that. Like, genuinely, just like, I just can't believe that a song that maybe I grappled with the idea of even recording, that song actually, touched someone. You know what I mean?
There's a story I heard one time that I wanted to see if you remembered. It was, and you told it on stage at World Pride in New York. It was about the time you went to the Stonewall National Monument.
yeah.
Do you know what story I'm talking about?
Yes.
Can you tell that story?
So I had just finished doing the Bodyguard tour, and this person came up to me and said, "You'll never know what it meant to me that your voice and your music again was a soundtrack to my life." I was at the Pulse shooting, and I lost all of my friends. We were there just to have a good time, and your music was that. So to have you and to see you here, sharing in the pain that we all feel, it means everything. And I was just like, so he's like, he took off his, he took the bow off of him and put it on me and was like, can you just wear this during your performance so that it just shows, solidarity. And I just broke down and cried. And I was like, wow, yeah, of course. I just felt honored to be able to express what he was feeling, And a lot of the times, people don't get an opportunity to really say what they want to say. And here he was just pouring his heart out and expressing himself in such a deep way. So it meant a lot.
Yeah, what does that give
Yeah.
you? Like, what does that...
It's inspiring. It just gives me that, energy to just keep going. It gives me that inspiration to keep going. Yeah.
Keep going from what? Are there times you don't feel like you can?
There are times where I want to make sure that I keep the balance, you know what I mean, with life and with my own family, but
Yeah.
also
Because you worked.
with the business. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
you still do,
I can still, yeah, I grind. I really like, and when I'm in a momentum and it takes a lot for me to step away, and not be so immersed in the business all the time. But I like to have balance, and I have to really make sure that I'm spending time with my husband and my kids and just like family. That's really important to me. So I recognize that very early in my career, which is why, I wanted to make sure that I have my, my kids and my and family, because, the pandemic has really just amplified that to the point where it's like, man,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to survive without them,
So in 2008, your song "Beautiful You Are" becomes this empowerment anthem on TikTok, and people are using it as the soundtrack to their videos. Talk to me a little bit about how that song came to you.
I was sick like a dog, but the sessions were booked. We had to follow through with the songs and the recordings, and I had my daughter Samaya with me. She was about 7 months old, and we were just, she was also sick with a little bit of a cold as well. And we just went in the studio and plowed through it, just banged it out, And that melody, man, I was just like so touched by it. And, we're all just vibing out and collaborating, and then the words just kind of just came, you know, it was just like poured into me in life. Things may not always go right for you, but in those times, just leave it behind. Sometimes you got to play the game just to survive. And it just became like a mantra, a personal mantra for me to sing and to sing to my kids if they're ever going through anything. And that was kind of like in the forefront of my mind. And subconsciously, I didn't even realize that I was like singing to myself, you know, to just keep going. It was also the same year that we decided to start our own label. Deco Recording Group was born. Things were changing. Digital music was coming into view. So there were a lot of changes at that time.
What are some of the words of that song?
In life, things may not always go right for you in those times. Leave it behind. Sometimes you got to play the game just to survive. Without losing yourself, it's a fight. It's true, but it takes time. Don't have all the answers, but sometimes don't have all the answers. If I'm not singing it,
So you can sing it if you want. Sing it if you want. Sing it if you want.
don't ever let nobody break you down, girl. Don't ever let nobody tear your world apart. Look in the mirror and see who you are. Beautiful you are.
It's beautiful. I feel like I won the lottery. You were singing to yourself, though, you said when you wrote
I
that.
feel like, yeah, it's like, you know, subconsciously, I feel like, you know, the spirit was just saying it's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Now you have all these people saying that that songs say. I mean, I saw comments for that song.
Mm-hmm.
People saying that song saved their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Depression, people who are suicidal. I mean, we just recently, this girl posted on TikTok that she had been raped for years, and it, you know, the words of the song helped her to come out of it, you know, the depression and the sadness and the darkness that she felt in that moment. And again, I was just broke down, like, to hear those kind of stories, you know, and when your music really lifts people and pulls people out of that kind of depression and dark place, that's like, that is just like, that's just God's blessing, you know, using me as a vessel to help comfort and bring people some kind of solace, you know. And I take that very, very serious, you know.
Because you must have needed it too. Because I mean, like, if we just go through everything today, like everything we've talked about, everything you've been through, it hasn't been easy a lot of the way.
Right.
You know, you've had to work incredibly hard a lot of the way. You've had a lot of challenges, a lot of no's, a lot of rebuilding. So what keeps you going? I mean, I think I really want to know that, like, because I think sometimes when we get confronted with no's or we get confronted with challenges, it's easy to stop. But like,
Right.
what's kept you going?
I think back then I was just determined to prove that I could actually dig myself out of this sort of depressive place and keep going. I had no self-confidence. I had no, I was very ambitious, but I just didn't know where I would fit in because the vision that I had was so broad, and the industry likes to sort of pigeonhole you and put you into one place. So I had to really try to navigate myself through that.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of taking chances. I think that's what opened me up and helped me to become just very, you know, fearless. Like, I feel like I can do anything because I've tried everything. You know what I mean? So now I feel very rooted and grounded, and I feel really great now. And what keeps me going now is my family, being an inspiration to my children, and you know that helps to keep me going.
What's it like to come home to Toronto now and see? I mean, not only is there a scene here that didn't exist, it is. I mean, Toronto is making.
It's a huge cosmopolitan city. It's world renowned. Yeah.
And the R&B and hip hop and soul music, like,
has grown immensely.
and it's the biggest music in the world right now, coming from Toronto, from Black artists in Toronto.
It's awesome. It's awesome to be a pioneer. It's awesome to be recognized as someone who has brought soul music from this amazing country that really fueled me with a lot of great music. Like, I listened to incredible artists, And I was able to turn that into my own soul, you know what I mean? And put out my own music and be the voice for that as well. So I feel really proud. I feel really, you know, able to be able to keep my integrity and,
Yeah.
and my authenticity, you know, and not have to change who I am. It's beautiful.
Know that I asked this next question with the presumption of gratitude. And I know it from nothing else from talking to you that there's so much gratitude. How do you hold in one hand the induction into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame and this recognition from Canada, and in the other hand, knowing that when you were starting out, that's where the rejection came from Canada? How do you hold that?
Um, that's a really good question, because I feel like if I wasn't recognized, then I would be really, really bitter. I feel, you know, again, like that, yeah, the gratitude comes from that place like, hey, I'm being recognized now. A lot of that, the hurt and the pain, you know, translated into me really believing in myself, having confidence in myself. And I think that is the message, that is the journey, that is what is really the resounding message, is that you have to believe in yourself, otherwise no one else will believe in you. And it's that simple. It comes from just that place of knowing that you have something to offer. I knew that I had something to offer, and it was just a matter of time before somebody was going to recognize it. And it's beautiful that Karis has recognized that and really acknowledging the road that was paved, you know, for everyone else to be inspired to come through, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still here, which is awesome.
Are you ever? Who is going to be in attendance from your family at the Junos?
You know, everyone will most likely be home watching it.
Like home in their houses, like not home in Toronto.
Yeah,
home
I
in
mean,
their
my
houses.
family, they'll be, because I think it's a different experience it's very different when you're in the room
Yeah.
with, what, 20,000 people.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very different experience. But when you are watching it and you're seeing, you know, just, you know, how everything unfolds, and just, I think it's, my daughters will be there. My son won't.
Mm-hmm.
He's in university, but yeah, it's gonna be really moving.
What are you gonna? Do you know what you're gonna sing yet? Oh, this is a good question. This is a good question.
It was very hard. It's a very, very hard, because there's so many great songs. Like, I wanted to do songs that inspired me, but then I wanted to please the audience. I wanted them to hear their favorite songs. So it's going to be a medley. It's going to be a surprise. That's all I'm telling you, Tom. I'm not telling you any more.
I won't grill you on it. So, being inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, it's about a lifetime accomplishment. But like you said, you're still here. You have a lot of lifetime left.
Yeah.
Your voice is still amazing.
Thank you.
How do you do that? How do you
Thank
keep
you.
your voice going?
I think I've been able to be really disciplined. You know, I think that early, you know, taking care of yourself is really key when it comes to this business. You know, really keeping, just staying healthy. You know, and that has always been at the forefront, making sure that I can, you know, just being really disciplined and really. I want to have longevity in this career, and a lot of my favorite singers, you know, still are rocking out today,
Yeah.
you know, and so I want to be one of those women that still has longevity in the game, and yeah, so it's about balance.
Before we go, can you do me a favor? In your mind's eye, picture 12-year-old Deborah in the booth singing for a jingle for a commercial. What was the Muffins? What was the Muffins? What was it called?
Marvelous Muffins.
Yeah. Picture her
Yes.
with all those dreams and challenges in front of her. Mm-hmm. And you are here now with this induction into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
My God.
Talk to her for me. What would you say?
Oh my gosh. It brings tears to my eyes. I just see this little girl with braces and just like her bangs and her pigtails and feeling awkwardly awkward and no self-confidence and just like, woo, I would just tell her to just, Tom, you're not supposed to do this.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You got this, just breathe. You're beautiful. And just let God continue to use you, Yeah.
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 That's great. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Deborah, congratulations on the Hall of
Thank you.
Fame. It's so richly deserved. Everyone here is so happy it's finally happening.
Yes,
And
thank you.
It's about fucking time. Deborah, thank you so much. God love you.
Thank you.